my sweet dear magical friends. Willkommen to your weekly horoscope and taroscope with me, Natalie, spelled Natalee, as we open up the energies of your week ahead using your download, the tarot, and Western astrological interpretation. I am calling this week King Karma because we have an astounding partial solar eclipse happening in the sign of Aries. Now, it is a partial solar eclipse because what makes a new moon or a full moon a total, I should be careful with that word, what makes a new moon or a full moon in eclipse is its proximity to the north and south nodes of the moon. The nodes are basically orbital paths, like your drive to work in the morning or your road to cousin so-and-so's house every other Saturday to play, not Monopoly. Of course I think of Monopoly because I'm a Capricorn. Whatever, to do your thing. So the north node is when the orbital paths cross on the upswing, going up on the ascending energy, and then the south node of the moon is when the orbital paths cross downwards. So there's a new moon happening this week at 29 degrees of Aries, and it is very close to the north node at 4 degrees in the sign of Taurus. And this is what makes it a partial solar eclipse. That's why I am calling this week King Karma, because that proximity to the north node in Taurus is giving an extra oomph, it's an extra flair, it's extra power and focus. Fatedly so. Fate brings you the opportunity. You were fated. It was fate that brought you to a person, that brought you to a town, that brought you to a job, that landed you in a position, that put you in a family, in a new family, reconnecting with that, whatever it happens to be. What you make of it or not make of it is you creating your own personal destiny. I'm a huge free will person. I couldn't psychologically cope with life if I didn't believe, I mean really in my bones, believe in free will. And yet my life experience has always shoved fate, this energy of fatedness into my life that I can't ignore. Can't just pay attention to the things that reaffirm my biases. I can't just ignore everything else, you know, just like everyone else that has that the breakage of cognitive dissonance and, you know, seeking out confirmation bias, same thing. So I've had to reconcile fate and destiny in one I've had to hold it in my little brain. So when you hear me say that, that's why I say that. I repeat that because it reconciles both of those. So for anyone having issues or little irks spiritually coping with such seemingly opposing ideas, that's how I work it. That's how I sort of reconcile it. And I hope that helps. So King Karma, we can write new karma over the next couple of weeks, and we will be over the next couple of weeks, 6 months, year and a half. And this is a little taste. It's ushering in something that's going to be a much bigger focus in our lives and really peak in 2025, 2026-ish. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the week, shall we? Monday, the 17th of April, I'm calling this day Charge Up. Monday is one of my favorite days of the week. The other favorite day is Thursday. Now, I'm putting this up at the very front just so you guys know there will be no YouTube message on Thursday. I am keeping a very low profile for these eclipses. We'll see how that goes since these are supposed to be happening in like a very visible area of my chart. So even though all I want to do is just reabsorb into the universe, all I want to do is just burst and recirculate, redistribute myself. We'll see what happens. So yes, no Thursday message. I will, however, still be channeling and very active on the Patreon, the Arteagan community over on Patreon. I live stream twice a day, 6 days out of the week. And this week we have 2 subclubs. We have Archangel Alchemy and we have Practical Magic. spiritual exercises to strengthen the spiritual muscles. That's for the high priestesses and the Hierophants. Every single month they will get ceremony or they will get practical magic. Okay, back to Monday, the 17th of April. I'm calling it charge up because the moon will meet with Neptune in Pisces. You can see it here. The moon is just crossing over that Neptune. They will go void for a short period of time. Then they will enter into the sign of Aries. This one aspect of the moon conjuncting Neptune is going to be the charge up that you get. That's when you fill the spiritual tank. That is when you this is like the pep talk, okay? The pep talk behind the boxer leaving the green room to go out and fight the fight. I watched Pumping Iron last night. I can't believe I've never seen it before. I'm such a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan ever since I was a very small little child. And watched Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Huge fan. What was I saying? I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, that's right. Okay, so charging up the pep talk. So he's such a perfect example of how I feel Leo energy really should be like embodied. Like I can see a lot of people seeing Pumping Iron and seeing how confident he is and misreading that or projecting into it maybe a form of like arrogance or, you know, pride or ego or something. But that movie, that documentary, whatever, is a perfect example of healthy functioning ego. And it's just, he's like a glorious human being. Anyway, so in Pumping Iron, there's like this competition and he's going up against, he does like a little profile on this guy, this other younger guy coming up, and they're really showing that perspective, how, you know, it's the father and the son, and they're really invested in him getting first place and just overpowering Arnold and taking the title from him, and it's their dream and they're with it. The father's doing it right with him and he's his cheerleader in his corner. But the pep talks that he gives him at the dinner table and while he's training, that's how I feel about this moon Neptune, is that you can really psych yourself up for something. And, you know, but it's like behind the scenes, it's while you're like at rest, it's while it's before the show, it's before the week starts, and you have to go and like interface with your business partners, your co-workers, your family, your friends, and like, you know, life. It's very much like just charge up. It's the last soft energy of the week, by the way. So whether you need to rest or just relax or give yourself that pep talk, let yourself charge yourself up before, as you get into okay, because when the moon does ingress into Aries, it's on, very, very much on. We're learning more, even more about, and this is going to be a very big emphasis over the next few years of how to be independent or brave and or the first. Okay, you might feel like you're ready to break some records. You might feel like you want to try and get into the Guinness World Book of Records for something. You might feel, you know, this spring inside of your soul ready to go for something big. Or, you know, with Aries energy, about being the first, you know, it's really healthy ego expression. It's healthy competition, and we're going to circle back around to that later in the week. But as soon as the moon ingresses into Aries, the circumstances are going to start to bring things to your awareness or attention to bring that out in you. Okay, so not everyone wants that. Some people like their life the way it is right now, and they don't want eclipses. They don't want periods of great change. Like, I like how it is. I like what the relationships are. I like the job I'm working. I like it all, you know? So it's going to be a little bit resistant, and we'll get into that soon. So that moon in Aries will sextile Pluto in Aquarius on Monday. Okay, so this is picking up very deeply rich ideas from friends or acquaintances. But here's the thing. So if you want to stay dependent, if you want to stay in situations that really bind you to other people or even ideas, even approaches or attitudes or perspectives, this might feel kind of hostile. You might feel that hostility or these the resistance. You might feel your internal resistance sort of like acting up and getting starting things up, okay? Tuesday, I am calling minor corrections. This is the 18th of April. Okay, so as you can see, we have this moon about to cross Chiron and Jupiter and meet up with the sun. So, all right, the moon sextiling Gemini, that's nice. That's, with Venus and Gemini, I feel Gemini energy, you can rationalize all the different sides. You can see all the different perspectives, and so you can really put yourself in every different position. So if you want to think a certain way, you can convince yourself to think that way. If you want to see something from this perspective, you can convince yourself to assume that perspective. We don't want to, run with it and make it into an identity or something. But this, you can see all sides, and you can consider all of the options. Or if it's not within you, you may be connecting with the friends who inspire new perspectives. So that's really great if you are feeling very brave and pioneering, and, like if you're feeling that like healthy competition, like wanting to be the first, wanting to be the best, wanting to be, you know, going for the gold, then you can really connect with people, or you can connect even with great ideas in your mind that you pull, your downloads that are really cool. The only thing is that moon is going to square over to, you can see it here, to Mars in Cancer. Gird your loins. Okay. This is like dark moon energy too. That's another like energy drain, but it's another um element that can have people very much, I always say, never freak out about your life on a dark moon. So Sunday, Monday, maybe even like Tuesday, Wednesday, like when the moon is new, when the moon is very new, don't freak out. Like let the void, let the here's the thing, you'll feel like anything is possible, or you'll feel so spiraling lost in your life, because all possibilities can feel in either emotion. You can feel like, oh my God, anything is possible and that's wonderful. I'm free. Or you can feel like, oh my God, anything can happen. I'm so destabilized and lost and there's nothing grounding me. You know what I'm saying? So just like, but don't let yourself understand what you're feeling, but don't put like a judgment on it right away, because this is very wild energy. Be kind with yourself, and my guidance for this week is to relax and let fate bring things up to you, and then you can respond thoughtfully and decide what you're going to do with it, if you do anything at all with it. So okay, but that's great. Mentally on Tuesday you're going to be feeling something that you're going to throw what I just said maybe out the window, because it's very triggering. Moon squaring Mars, like that is always, you can like count on it that the button gets pushed. Be careful, because that could set a lot in motion. That's like some people might feel very threatened by someone else's independence, and if they act out against that, that could be difficult to walk back from. Like that Mars in Cancer, remember when was this? It was like a couple weeks ago, when I think I talked about Mars's ingress into Cancer. Like, don't let anyone emotionally hijack a situation. Do not let anyone else's emotional urgency push you to act, or push you to like, you know, into something you're not comfortable with, or that you need more time to think about, or you know what I'm saying? Now, if you are the Mars in Cancer, you might be very passionate about something. You might be very motivated, and your passion is very clear, because the emotion is very, very strong, and you're being very led by some kind of, you might feel like it's a higher power, but you will want to be very cognizant of everyone else around you, because Mars can be in Aries, you could be like foolhardy or like not thinking about anyone else, you know? So if you trust yourself and you know you can trust yourself with good judgment, this could be that you do what you've procrastinated on. And you need this little, you know, to like get you going and to you know, push you out the door and push you out the nest. And you know, it's now or never. And you know, you might need that dynamic internal tension in order to get something done. So you know, we would rather understand than judge, and we never want to look at, for instance, if someone has this in their birth chart, moon square Mars, that's how they are. That's how they always are. And so it's your challenge to learn how to use your own energy, to learn how to channel your own energy, that maybe you overreact a lot, and you have to learn how to know what you're feeling when you're feeling it, but to manage the reaction so that you don't give all your power away all the time. Or you know, or maybe it could be a million different things, but you know, for the purpose of Tuesday, it's minor corrections, because you either will feel threatened by something and you may try something that really blows up in your face, or you may need to do something or advocate for yourself, protect your interests, protect your process of individuation against someone that's trying to cramp your style, or even a situation. Maybe your schedule isn't supporting you. Maybe your diet doesn't support you. Maybe your work processes, maybe there's a better way to do something to get more productivity out of you and conserve more of your energy. Maybe there's a better way to communicate with certain family members. Maybe there's something that with you and your child and their schedule, and you're just like a chauffeur, and maybe you need to figure out some different, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a troubleshooting. It can be a more of a troubleshooting day on Tuesday, but it depends on how you take this. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to be blowing up over nothing and looking at you for it, and you know, projecting it onto you, and you're going to be responsible for putting up a boundary and saying, I'm not owning that energy. It's not my energy to own. You got to manage your feelings. You're a strong, independent person. Go manage that feeling. Oh my God, you're saying I'm a strong, independent person. You don't care about me. No. Okay, bringing us to the solar eclipse. Wednesday, on the 19th of April, I'm calling this day transitions. So if we take a little look here and bringing it right up to the 29th degree, we see that this new moon is at 29 degrees of Aries, and the north, well, you just see the south node here, but so you see the south node is at 4 degrees of Scorpio, which means that the north node is at 4 degrees of Taurus. Okay. Something is at a critical culmination point with the 29 degree of Aries. That is what's ending. That is where there's a little bit of a reckoning. This is high volume, very loud, this is, Aries for me is like bam bam. Okay, Aries is like bam bam energy that's like, you can't miss it. So something's going out with a bang. This is where people may feel very, like they may feel rushed. They may feel like they have to rush you, or it could just organically be part of the situation. Like maybe there is some kind of like time limit or a deadline, or you know, when things are out of your control and they come up, that's ideal, because then you can control how you respond to it. But you don't want to be the one to like try and manifest anything, or to, especially because we have a Mercury stationing retrograde. Okay, so there will be a better time for that. This is going to be the time to observe and see what's being brought up to you. Now, if you have an offer, if someone else, if there's something that's already been planned and it happens to fall on this date, or if something's just been working out and it just rolls out, if it happens that organically, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm just saying, don't you be the one to try and like, it's just too wild and unpredictable. And if you are trying to like do something like using this, it'll have potential unintended consequences that it's just, you don't want to plan like a first date for the date of the solar eclipse as an example, that if you date that person, or if you something happens with that person, it'll just have that stamp of the energy into it where maybe it's way more drama than you thought was cute. Okay, you like, it could just be like not, it could, or it'll just, or maybe there will always be like something coming up with them, or it'll, you know what I'm saying? So this is going to be fated enough. So what I recommend is timeline jumping, and you can watch a video on that on my TikTok. I just pinned it to the top of my TikTok. And it's really funny because I took a look, and that TikTok I made at the end of July in 2022, which it has some kind of interesting connection to what's going on, because that was that time period we had the triple conjunction in Taurus. So it's interesting to think about timelines and the choices that we have in creating our own destinies. So that's what I'll say. Like, to learn more about that, go watch that video. But yeah, I do not recommend consciously trying to manifest during this time from like now until like the middle of May. Only when things are happening that way, there's already momentum happening there, or something's been building over a while, then you can take what's coming up and respond appropriately to add to the increase, or maybe, I don't know, just some other stuff. So I'm calling Wednesday transitions because this the moon passing Jupiter is giving us more learning experiences. So it's growth, it's seeds of confidence, it's the seeds, more seeds being planted for our own independence. Now listen, if people are very comfortable and don't want that, if people don't want anything to change, they're going to really resent it. They're not going to like it. So it's easy to look at a moon Jupiter and just think in Aries and just think happy, independent, abundant, confident. However, if someone doesn't want to learn, if someone doesn't want to grow, if someone's afraid of not being able to do something for themselves, then it's going to be difficult, a difficult transition, because the North Node in Taurus since November 2021 has been trying to say, develop more confidence in your unique skills, talents, abilities, your body, your physicality, your diet, how you're eating, what you're putting into your system, and strengthening all of your muscles. And so, if people have been super South Node in Scorpio and trying to hang on to the crutches and the dependencies, this is about to affect their relationships in very negative ways, as the eclipses change over to the South Node being in Libra, which is relationships. So, the more that you can just respect yourself, be honest with yourself, build yourself up, be comfortable with yourself, and let your relationships have room, air out to grow, for everyone to grow and grow into things, grow out of things, and be secure there. Just like, no one's really going anywhere. What does it really come down to? What you believe about life and soulmates and connections and love. I love adaptation when he says, you can love anyone you want. You can love anyone. You can choose to love anyone on the planet as much as you want for as long as you want. And this is what I help people with sometimes in my private practice, when it's difficult to let go. I tell them, you can still love them if you want to love them. No one's saying, I'm not saying don't love someone. I am saying put up the boundary. I am saying, I say a lot of other things, but I don't tell you who to love, So it's the growth, okay? So try to have some confidence in yourself, and also to support someone else's individuality. When I talked about Jupiter and Aries last year, that Pisces party was really nice, but Jupiter and Aries, on TikTok, I suggested that if you can be a mentor to someone, and also find a mentor to mentor you, that would be ideal. That's ideal with Jupiter and Aries. And you know, just as much as I love to be a mentor, especially to young people, I really love when I get to be the baby, when I get to just listen to someone talk and, you know, pontificate or just tell me all these things I don't know anything about. I love that. I absolutely cherish that relationship and me being on that side of it. I love to be the empty cup and to just like, you know, like just like listen. I one of the positive and negative things about being very psychic is that I'm very easily hypnotized. And when I'm listening to someone, I love listening to people talk. I love to watch people explain things. I love to learn. I love to be mentored, but it's like I'm like it's I'm very easily like drawn in, and it's part of how my ability works, and it's part of how I discovered that I was remote viewing, because you guys were writing into me when I first got on YouTube, like a lot, and I just like when I was first putting up readings, and you guys were sending me in your stories and your photos. You were sending me photos and emailing me, and then I started to get stuff, and that's how this all kind of happened. So the solar eclipse is asking us to be comfortable in the in-between. So, you know, there's a big growth experience that's starting. It's just starting. It's seeding. You're going to develop this, and it's going to grow legs. It's going to run. It's going to be fast and big and strong. But right now, it's just like a little bitty baby. It's a little seedling. So if you can find a way to be a mentor and be mentored in some way, shape, or form, that's ideal. Now, the solar eclipse is Wednesday. It's 29 degrees. So there's something critical that's ending about where you're not being independent enough, where you don't have confidence in yourself, or you don't have confidence to be alone in something, or to go it alone, or to go without support. Aries, I remember my niece, she was like a toddler, and she would just like crawl, like speed crawl into like a dark room with the light off, like just full head and full ahead, right? Full steam ahead. And I'm like, she has no idea. It's darkness. What if there's like a table or like a monster or some boogeyman or whatever, what, you know, what if, or like some hard object or something spiky or sticky or fuzzy, you know, like but she just like, you know, went just Aries energy, you know? So if life has just blunted you with misery and disappointment and pain and heartache, that could have blunted your confidence. That could have gone far beyond an ego death and into, you know, like trauma, you know, some PTSD, and you're a little like, you know, this is going to wake you up. Oh, these eclipses changing over. Okay, so there's something ending in that Aries area of life. However, the North Node is still in Taurus. And this is like the end of the cycle. There's going to be one more eclipse with Taurus. There's in the fall set of eclipses, and it's going to be a thing. But this North Node is starting something, because it's a new moon. So it's like, be comfortable in the waiting room. Learn to be comfortable in the in-between. I think of like Beetlejuice. I think about all of the movies where they show thematically, cinematically, that interstitial space between maybe life and death, or maybe, you know, birth and death, you know, something. So there's going to be clearly something ending about either how you feel about something or an actual situation. You know, your landlord sells the building and you have to move. That'll be the ending of you living in this place, but it is going to be the beginning of you living somewhere else too. But you're like you're not fully out of that ending situation, and you're not fully in your new situation. You're in the interstitial, in the in-between. So it's gonna have that quality over the next few weeks for certain, but over the next few months, as we fully turn over the new leaf. And it really will be, it'll be later. I'm not going to get into the timeline, but just this week on Wednesday, learning to be comfortable with that, learning to be comfortable with that, being in the waiting room a little bit, because there's still work to tie up the loose ends, and there's still work to build up that new space, or that new place. So there's that. Then the moon will enter into Taurus and square Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, this is why I'm also saying to take a little bit of a back seat, because the solar eclipse, if it were just a new moon, I would tell you to manifest. I would tell you to give it a couple days and really get your downloads and then start taking actions. But because it's a partial solar eclipse, what opportunities are being brought to you that you can say yes to, or that you can say no to, whatever you want? Because in a couple of weeks, May 5th, we're going to have this lunar eclipse, and that's going to be so wild. That's going to be more where you are receiving big results. Your karma, you already wrote the karma. Over the next couple of weeks, you're still going to write the karma, write new karma, but I want you to have a little bit more of a hands-off approach, where I want you to be a little bit more observant, and especially because of the Mercury retrograde happening at the end of this week, it's going to be best to see what comes up with the feelings, with the ideas, with what you're passionate about, with what you want to start. You know, really play the long game. How do you really see your life changing and forming? You know, when you are in the middle, I don't like to shower. I really don't like taking a shower. But the hardest part is like stepping into the shower. I'm like, you know, it's just like, you know, it feels very, I hate it. But once I'm in the shower, fully wet and submerged, and I'm like playing with my little ducky and singing my little songs and doing my manifestations and doing all this magic, and it's so much fun. I'm playing like splish splash, having a blast. But the procrastination and like that initial stepping in, when I'm like mostly dry and I'm like stepping into and it's like, it's, you know, I don't like it. So that's how some of us are going to feel in the transitioning period. But you want to, what will make you step in the shower is thinking about when you're in the middle of taking the shower, how happy you're going to be, how clean you're going to feel, and how much fun you're going to have, you know. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay, but the square, the moon entering into the sign of Taurus, squaring Pluto and Aquarius. So that could feel hostile or uncomfortable. No power plays, please. If you find yourself in the middle of a power play with somebody else, you know, a spouse, a boss, a best friend, a family member, some whatever, your bank, your financial institution, your credit card company, your auto insurance, whatever it happens to be, take a deep breath. Are we still on Wednesday? Goodness gracious. Take a deep breath and ask what lesson you're trying to learn. Ask yourself, what's my resistance and what lesson am I still trying to learn because I'm here? And try to find a way to take the power back. It's not that you're trying to wrestle for power in that situation and get the insurance agent to give you what you want. It's that you're trying to wrestle something inside of yourself that is playing out through some interaction, through some interfacing with the world, either in the people in your life or in the situations or in the circumstances that you've committed to and signed up for, and all of those things. So try to keep that in mind. No power plays on your side. Let the truth change you. If you trust the truth, if you trust it, you'll be okay. Trust in being honest. Trust in being truthful. Trust in being grateful and sincere. If you trust in these things and work on whatever something about someone else is bothering you. This is the example I always use with my clients is, if your spouse is smoking and you just hate it and it just gets under your skin, that's such a big clue. If anything or anyone gets under your skin, that's a karmic thing. You're trying to work that out in yourself and you want them to quit. And it's a whole power play, whole power issue, trying to get them to quit, trying to be on them, trying to be all up in their everything about it, invading their privacy because you think you're in their looking in their best interest to get them to quit smoking. Let them own their life. Let them own their decisions. Let them own. They have to own that victory, by the way, too. Don't take that victory from them by taking the choice away from them. Okay? What I tell my clients is that it's not really that you're trying to like save their life. You're trying to overcome either a crutch or a dependency or a lack of willpower in you. Maybe you're trying to gain weight for bodybuilding, or you're trying to lose weight for a competition of some sort, or maybe you have an issue with eating, or you have an issue with boundaries with your family, or you have, you know what I'm saying? You're just projecting that into that partner, and it's just the partner and they're smoking, you know, but you're not looking at what you've got to own and owning and managing what you own instead of trying to own what somebody else's energy is. So that moon square Pluto is going to play out that way. So now all this is great. I feel like all this is so great when I talk about it, but like the days come and the moments come, and you know, I'm a million miles away. You listen to my video, you know, a day or two ago, or even that morning, and you're like in some big situation, and that's the moment that hopefully all of my words seeping into your subconscious mind activate somewhere inside of you, and that you remember and you wake up into yourself, you wake up into your personal power so you can take it back. You know, the person trying to get under your skin, trying to get you entangled or keep you entangled, that you can give it back to them. Just take that back, take this back. That's your side of the street. This is my side of the street. So that's what we hope for. Okay, let's move on. Wait a minute. Do we want to move on? Are we ready? Okay, so the eclipse, again, ruled by Mars. One last little thing. And I talk about this of what and how this is all meaning and playing out for all 12 zodiac signs on the Patreon for all 12 signs. Ruler of this eclipse, Mars, squaring itself, squaring all this Aries energy, and it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a thing. I want you to think back to 2020. We get eclipse season like twice a year, and that's when all the big life changes happen. When people move, when people get married, when people break up, when people have children and conceive children, and people die and people bury people, like all of those things. And they set those things in motion for them to happen, you know, in a couple of months. So it's not like everything gets packed into 4 weeks out of the year. In 2020, I believe we had 3 eclipse seasons, and that was like the Cancer Capricorn axis. So we just haven't had changes on that grand of a scale being in cardinal signs since then. So, you know, we had the eclipses then move into Gemini, Sagittarius, mutable signs, then Taurus, Scorpio, fixed signs, still difficult, but now we're back into the cardinal energy, which is very powerful for initiating strong things, really big projects. Okay, so the Mars square, that Mars is in Cancer and squaring the Aries stuff, you know, it's like you just moved into a new spot to sit down in, and someone's trying to move you again, and you're like, I just sat down, I don't want to move, and they're like, well, you gotta move, and you're like, I don't want to move, you know. And it's just like that kind of a feeling to it. Thursday on the 20th, 420, happy 420 everybody. I'm calling this day intimate. This can be extremely intimate. So the sun will move into Taurus and immediately square Pluto in Aquarius. Now Thursday, Friday, Mercury retrogrades. So, okay, so this is, we've already been in the shadow for a little bit now. So the sun squaring Pluto, you can go back to something that you were mentally, psychologically, or maybe even verbally in conversation or argument or debate with someone else or other people, something from the 3rd of April or around that time. That's when we had Mercury in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius. So that could have been some power plays. People could have been trying things, or you were trying to really figure something out and trying to solve the puzzle of something. This is bringing that, maybe the same issue, but maybe not, maybe just something else, but you have that same kind of intensity upon it, wrestling with something. Maybe in this case, maybe for direction, I want to take this direction, well, I want to take it this and this direction, or control. Well, I want to say how this goes. Well, I wanted to say how this goes. Okay, now the solution will be trust. Trust. Why hire someone if you don't trust them to do the job? Why, why be with someone if you don't trust them? Why, like that kind of thing. So what does it come down to? What does it really, all the stress and anxiety boil down to? Do you trust what you really believe? How strong are your beliefs about life, about yourself, about other people, about all these things? So that is another thing that people can project their lack of trust. They don't trust themselves. They can't be honest with themselves. They can't trust someone else. They can't be honest with somebody else, whatever that is. So, there can be that happening. And that can also be identity, that I'm calling it intimate because for the positive. So if you're using this energy consciously, then you know what you feel. So it's not about never feeling a negative emotion. It's about knowing what to do with all of these energies and knowing what to do with all of the energy passing through you. That's what channeling means, is to allow something to flow through you and to be able to direct it towards something, whether that's telekinesis or whether that's anything else. So if you're using this, if you're owning the energy and you're taking the opportunity, Sun Pluto could be extremely powerful. Sun Pluto can be overcoming an immense challenge and you get karma points. So the Sun square Pluto, there could be a difficult situation. I know it's difficult, it's difficult, or the landlord sells the building. Okay, that's hard. And it doesn't even have to be like people are at war or that there's hard feelings. It could just be hard situations that everyone has to deal and cope with together somehow. And okay, well, let's figure this out. Let's really, tackle this even while it's hard, and to be able to, use the tension to troubleshoot a solution, to be focused more on solutions than blaming, or rather than, I don't know, whatever else it happens to be. So there could be some kind of challenge. There can be, maybe you have to get permits for something you want to do, that your business wants to do, and maybe the inspector is all crazy, or, all of that stuff. So this is a great conspiracy theorist type of a example. So what I mean by that is, for instance, one of my hierophants is in the space industry, and it's a really small community. Okay, it's a really small community, and he deals with political leaders and some of the things that are heavy that he has to deal with are these Sun Pluto people that, it's not like a negative conspiracy theorist thing to say about that we're being surveilled. Okay, we know that, we've been knowing that. Sure, we've been reading about it. I have this account, so I can tell you, I can verify that for you from what I've heard from my client. And it wears heavy, on his soul, because he's working with me. He's an energy worker, and he's trying to raise his vibration and do these spiritual exercises and to, do all this stuff. So one of the things that this is also really cool because so one of these people are like trying to control everything, and they're trying to surveil the globe and get all precise about, they want to know what every, they want to be all up in your shit, they want to be fucking up your ass and around the corner, and they, but that intensity, that sun Pluto or Mercury Pluto or moon Pluto, that just, it's never enough. It's never enough. I think I've talked about this on my Mercury Pluto video. You never quench that thirst, and you self-destruct. You that paranoia, you go crazy with it. So even if you know that you're right about a conspiracy theory, if you don't have a way to cope with that, if you don't have like a bigger spiritual vision, that's going to spin you out, and you're going to go deeper down some crazy little rabbit hole, and you will never feel good. You'll never feel like grounded and safe. Okay. So I gave him some exercises to try, and I always say to test these out. I always want you guys to have the spiritual experience. I want you guys to experience the magic. That's the only way that I believe in any of this. I was just talking on my Patreon about that, how whenever there's like a spiritual or religious person that they're making themselves the middleman, like, you come to me for the messages and I get them from God, or I get them from source or universe. That's such a red flag for me. That is like big red flag. No. What I advocate, what I teach, what I preach, how I live is, you have the spiritual experience. You've got to have the magical experience. You have to have the first-hand experience. I don't want to be a middleman. I want to share everything I know so that you guys can experience these things firsthand. So, gave him some exercises to deal with these like diabolical politicians. And I followed up just recently with him. I said, how did that go, by the way? That, so one of these evil diabolical politicians was giving him a hard time, right? Giving him a hard time. And he did what I taught him to do. And this evil person just went quiet for a moment. And then they started to look for somebody else to pick on, and directed that evil energy towards somebody else. So my Hierophant is trying to teach, because it's a small community, trying to teach his friend what I taught him. And it's funny because he's trying to like they're like foreign, English is their I think their second language, is like a European situation. And so he's trying to teach his friend what I taught him, but in different language. Because guys, listen, seriously, like I'm such like a behind the scenes person in your guys' lives that it's sort of crazy looking, right? So he's trying to explain the technique, but using different ways to talk about it. So okay, conspiracy theorists, let's say you're right about some of these things. Let's say you're right about all of them. Let's say you're right about just one, the most important one, whatever it happens to be. Okay, what next? Because like the people that are trying to surveil everything, it'll never be enough. Never enough. If you start betraying the privacy of your spouse, it'll never be enough. You're going to pull on that thread, and you're going to pull it till the whole relationship unravels. It'll never be enough. This is why I tell you, you don't want anything that you have to manipulate to keep. It'll never be enough. That's the danger with any square of anything to Pluto. And so Thursday, it could be intimate because it could overcome that. It could overcome that, where you just decide, I'm just going to trust. I'm just going to trust. And this is very important for any relationship. Do you trust me? If you trust me, then relax. If I trust you, I'm relaxed. I'm not even thinking about it. I don't want to think about it. I want to think about my thing that I've got going on. I want to think about my projects. I want to put my energy back into myself. I don't want to be thinking about you until you're right in front of me, until we're having a good time, until we're doing our whatever we're doing together, you know, that's when I want to think about you. But when I'm in my own zone, that's what focus is. How are you going to be alive and brilliant and strong writing your script, acting in your play, doing your stand up, if part of your energy is leaking into worried about your girlfriend that got up to go to the bathroom, and is she talking to somebody else outside of the bathroom, or whatever it happens to be? That's another reason why I feel like Pumping Iron and Arnold Schwarzenegger is such a like beautiful, like shining example of healthy ego, healthy confidence. Um, like honestly, but like for real, for real. And it's not just like body, guys, seriously though, like that, like since last night, that's when I watched it, I've been like walking around like, you know, like doing all of the poses that he does, like, you know, like I can't show you, but like it's just like so funny, like just all of the, you know, it like just it's really beautiful. Like the bodybuilding sport looks really interesting and really, if people tried that hard spiritually to overcome their fears or worries, whatever, can you imagine? That's what I hope and endeavor to inspire people to want to do when I get strong enough to be like lifting cars with my telekinesis. So we'll see. Um, oh, that's what I was saying. So it doesn't have to, for instance, my example doesn't have to be bodybuilding. Doesn't You don't have to be, you know, um, humor and being funny is actually a masculine trait. Don't blame me. This is just like human stuff, okay? Yeah, being funny, making other people laugh is a masculine trait. So if a woman is funny, it's kind of a threat to masculinity for the people that are not secure in their own masculinity. And if it's a guy that's making people laugh, he's like the head dog, he's the alpha male. It just seems a little bit different than that like Arnold Schwarzenegger type of like image of it. So, you know, I'm always going to say to use humor. I'm always going to say that. I'm always going to say that. But you know, maybe it'll be completely inappropriate. I have no idea. You'll know in your life. So Thursday, you know, that Sun square Pluto, that's Russell. That's a Russell. Hopefully you're self-aware enough where you can see something about yourself. I love Pluto because it's like overturning the rock, and I loved turning over big rocks as a kid to see like what was underneath. So you could overturn something and see something about yourself, and you can overcome that, something that was running a program in the background of your subconscious mind, like a crummy little virus or crummy, you know, application running on your computer, and you can change it. You can delete it. You can choose to trust. You can, that's why I'm calling it intimate, is because you can actually have a breakthrough moment. It could be very beautiful. Also on Thursday, that moon in Taurus sextiles Saturn, so you can find a better way. You can see the bigger vision. Conjuncts Mercury, circumstances produce news or maybe even bigger, better, greater change, or just show you that things are changing, talking about it more. Sextiles Mars in Cancer, so you know, this might be frustrated. Some people might be frustrated, or other people can be very motivated. Thursday, you can slay some blockages in intimacy and confidence socially, or you could be very consumed. I like saying it that way, consumed. You'd be very consumed with controlling someone else or controlling a situation, or you know, projecting onto something else. So put yourself around, and that's the thing. It's like, are you going to put yourself in like a peaceful situation around like chill people, or you know, people that are also trying to do the same thing as you are, or are you going to put yourself in like a bad situation, or with people that you don't really trust? Or for instance, this entire week, and just generally, you know, if you're in a toxic relationship, toxic shitty relationship, and you guys go back and forth and launching grenades back and forth on, and then eclipse season rolls up and it gets really even super more toxic, or gets like abusive, or just this is just dramatic on purpose, okay? For the example, then that's how it's going to go for you. These eclipses are deepening trauma, deepening the wounds. However, if you put up good boundaries and you are on the path of ascension, whatever you want to call it, your spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it, and you put yourself around, maybe you're just getting to know new people because you made space for that in your life. You're not fighting with your boyfriend for 5 hours. You're actually, you started a new class and you're getting to know new people. Then this kind of energy might just be that maybe someone in the class tries to like undermine you, or they undermine you in a weird way in the conversation. That's all it has to be. Then I'm not going to be their friend. Or you start a new job. You got out of a toxic situation, and even though you don't need the money, you just want a different social circle. So you start a new job somewhere new. Then it happens that way. This hard energy still manifests, but you're not making it worse by staying in bad situations. You're making it a little bit better for yourself because you're seeing, this energy is still playing out, but maybe it's playing out in a way that you, number one, have more control over, and number two, it's so much easier to see this, playing out, and it's so much easier to have a boundary with it and to have more agency and self-control and more direction of your own life, more mastery over it. Friday, the 21st of April, I'm calling it from out of nowhere. We have the moon conjuncting Uranus and Taurus. As you look at, Mercury's retrograde by now. And so, when the Mercury retrograde, oh, here we go. Okay. So Mercury stationing retrograde Thursday, Friday, let yourself go back to the scene of the crime or go back into the gold mine, because you either need to get more clues to figure out what happened with something, or you need to go back and get more gold, and you need to go to the well of inspiration again, or something like that. Okay, now the moon meeting with Uranus, that is feeling a bolt of emotion from out of the blue, and it's going to help you grow. It's going to bring you closer and want more of what you've been trying to develop since November 2021 in the Taurus area of your life. So that could be shocking, it could be dramatic, it could take a lot of attention from other areas of life because the circumstances and fate's trying to bring you to, pay attention to this thing over here. And the sextile to Neptune and Pisces, you might have, there could be some magic dust over this day. Or if this is a little bit more fearful, it could just highlight some kind of inconsistency that you're not so comfortable with. Now, like I said, Mercury stationing retrograde, it's not going to go over Algol, so it's not going to be quite as it's not going to be heinous, but it is going back, and it is necessary to go back to the scene of the crime, figure out what happened, or go back to the gold mine and mine more gold where you've already had success, where you've already been very inspired, where you've already found yourself to be more creative or more interested or more invested or more confident. Saturday, the 22nd of April, I'm calling it anything is possible. So, okay, the energy is very strange over the next few weeks, and maybe even from now until the middle of May, because of the eclipses and because of Mercury retrograde. So this entire time is kind of like a corridor. So like I said, things are ending, new things are starting. You're not here, you're not there. You're in a very interstitial, you're not totally done with some way of life or some situation, but you're not really in the middle and really rich into the going of the new thing that's starting up. So it's going to feel a little bit so just be comfortable, like I said before when I said to be comfortable in the corridor, in the interstitial space. Try to hold on to that, because whatever it's going to be, it's going to start this week. So you're going to get some clues to that. It's your first look under the rock. So, like I said, I love to turn over rocks and find the bugs underneath. Truly, crickets were my favorite. I thought they were these big, juicy, dark red cherries that were just so beautiful and interesting, and I would catch them. So I would turn over the rock and look for the juicy looking crickets, the big, dark ones. And then I would catch them, and then I would hold them and have them chirping. you know, and it's like my favorite thing ever. It was like they were my favorite. Like whenever I upturned a rock, I would hope to see the big juicy crickets. Um, Roly-polies are okay, but like they're everywhere. And then I don't really like the centipedes, of course. They're disgusting. But the crickets I was looking for. So we are basically going through the looking glass as we go into eclipse season. And with this Mercury retrograde, it tells me don't take anything too seriously. Okay. Now, the nodes of fate have to do with karma. South node in Scorpio. This is King Karma. This is fleshing out a lot. This is how are you going to manage all of this? There's a lot of big energy that could trip everybody up. There's lots of traps that are set for this energy, especially if you resent someone else being very into. Guys, we're gonna have Arnold Schwarzeneggers, okay? We're gonna have people that are like big and brilliant or funny or magnanimous or charismatic, or there's going to be people that embody that Aries archetype, and then there's going to be people that like are haters on that. So it's going to be, if you're like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the moment, then you've got to have that strong mentality and have great mental boundaries of not caring about what people are saying about you, or not care about what so and so and so and so and the what and what's are happening over there. You know what I'm saying? Because, and that's gonna maybe for some of you be part of like what's ending, of the situation, like what's ending. So, you're going through the looking glass. So it's saying like don't take anything too seriously. And while you're in the Beetlejuice place, know that you're gonna be coming back through the looking glass. And when you do come back through the looking glass, you're gonna be in the new normal. You're gonna be, it's not like you're gonna go to Oz and then you're gonna come back to Kansas. It's like you're going to Oz, and when you come back, you're gonna be in a whole different place. You're not gonna be in the Midwest. You're gonna be in somewhere else, by the time you come out of this. So, but it'll be the new normal for you. It'll be new, but it'll feel good. It'll still feel like you, but you're growing, you're evolving. There's this Aries energy that's just starting to wake up, but it's waking up because something about it has to end first. If you're meant to live in a whole different physical place, then you've got to wrap things up with maybe the landlords, like I said, selling the building, and you've got to find a place to live. You got to wrap things up with that. Bid your adieu, say goodbye to your community, whatever. And then you're going to be looking for the other neighborhood or the other place, getting everything into that other place. It's a lot, right? So that's what it is. That's whatever it's going to be, whatever that place or that space is going to be, it's starting now. And it starts on an energy of reflection because of the Mercury retrograde. Okay, so it's the first look under the rock. So, Saturday, anything is possible. Moon enters into the sign of Gemini. Again, Gemini is all of the options, all of the flavors. Gemini energy, always able to rationalize any. If Gemini wants to think something toxic, they will find a way to justify it and say this is rational. You know what I'm saying? All right. So whether you need more of that in your life or you need less of that, we're getting it. So, oh well. You're gonna be able to really compartmentalize and see that other perspective. Now, the moon in Gemini will also trine over to Pluto in Aquarius. This is very experimental to me. This is going farther and deeper into like something new and different and exciting. Okay, very, very, I think it's very interesting, very like mentally stimulating. Okay, so like I said, if you are the Arnold Schwarzenegger and you are being the leader, you are being the pioneer, watch Pump. I'm sure everyone's already watched it, but watch Pumping Iron, and it's so refreshing. To me, it's really refreshing to see that like easy confidence. Bruh, he is so funny. He's like, he is a little child, and I am his father. Like damn. And he's getting into the guy's psychology, like getting into his mind. It's just let them shine. Let them shine. Let them be that. Don't always, there's going to be people trying to knock down confident people. There's going to be people trying to knock people down a peg. And that's just a projection that they don't know how to own their own healthy ego. They don't even know how that expresses in themselves because they haven't tried it. They haven't played with it. They haven't, like a young girl experimenting, and a young boy with their sexuality, and maybe they're dancing suggestively, but maybe they're really little. Maybe they're really little, and it's alarming because you don't want sexual predators to see that kind of thing because they're going to pervert that process. But for them, they need to play and practice and just figure out what they like and figure out what makes them feel this way, and they need that safe space to do that though. So if anyone's raining on your parade, watch Pumping Iron. Okay, like, let yourself be funny even if it threatens other people or people are competitive with you because you're funny, because you're a woman in comedy. Let yourself be funny. Let yourself make yourself laugh. Don't stop doing your jokes or something. Or let yourself go to his he has his own little community of friends, and they're all like working out and doing all of this stuff, and I want to look that up. That looks so much fun to do, like all the poses. That looks really fun. Or with telekinesis, people might feel really like stupid or weird or whatever with like practicing the physical movements. Bruh, be Bruce Lee. Okay? Be Bruce Lee. You just transform into Bruce Lee, have the mental boundary and let all that go and be Bruce Lee. Okay? So this is why we're going to see a lot of breakups over the next couple years with the South Node in Libra, because the partnerships that don't support that in you are just going to be very intensely tested. So, I'm so chatty. This is too much. I'm talking too much. Saturday, anything is possible. That's square over to, and I have to take a shower. I can wash my hair. Saturday, anything is possible, but look how long it's getting, you guys. Hold on. Look at how long. Ugh. Okay, sorry. The square to Saturn in Pisces, don't let anyone or anything make you feel maudlin. Don't let anyone cramp your style, okay? Nurture yourself as you grow up a little bit. Let yourself, get your sea legs under you. As a mentor, I encourage that healthy ego development. Don't knock them down right away. Let them get some practice. Let them get things going. So, so all forms of relationships. If you have, a mentor that turns, like, the Saturn energy could be the mentor that gets threatened, that you're learning from somebody else, and they don't like that. They like that you look at them, that you pedestal them. They like that. Now it's about what they're getting. It's about their ego needs getting met. And now you're learning from someone else and they don't like it. If that's toxic, that's going to fall apart. Maybe you have a protege that is like super codependent. Maybe you have a protege that's really doesn't have good boundaries, and they expect you to teach them everything and hold their hand through longer than they should need the hand to be held. You've already taught them all the basics and they should have honed it by now, and they want you to give them opportunities. They want you to set everything up for them. They want you to roll out the red carpet and do all this heavy lifting for them, and they're not they're not grateful anymore. They have more expectations out of you, or you know what I'm saying? It's like these things can be like soul sucking. These things can also be part of the relationships that will crack under this pressure. But this is going to, for some people, it's going to be part of what's falling apart. If it's mentors and proteges, if it's parents and children, if it's spouses, if it's best friends, if it's co-workers, managers, immediate supervisors, if it's working with the politicians that you have to work with, if it, whatever happens to be. So, we're getting a taste of it, but it's like a blend. It's a blend because the nodes are not totally in Aries and Libra yet. We're still working out the energies and the bonds and the boundaries of what is it that we share with other people. We're in this connection. We're in this committed partnership already. Are you holding your side of the the bargain. Are you cleaning your side of the street? Is this rightful for you to ask of me? Is it rightful for me to ask of you? Who's paying for what? Who's doing the dishes? How is this going to work? All of those things. So it's like a blend of that. Okay, now Sunday is really nice and light. Sunday the 23rd. I'm calling it fun and games. After all of that. I'm calling it fun and games because the sun, excuse me, moon will conjunct Venus and Gemini, the lover of games. Hermes being very light-footed, very light, until they transform into the psychopomp. Then they're ready to guide the souls through the underworld. And this is the thing about Mercury retrograde. Like, you're going to go back to the scene of the crime, pick up more clues, see things from a different perspective, and it's necessary. So from now until the middle of May, you're through the looking glass, and it's going to look weird. It's going to look surreal. You're going to be like in between two worlds, and it's like, it's not going to feel comfortable. That's the point. So the fun and games, it could be nice. It's good times. It's good talks. The schedule is great. There's a nice flow throughout your day. Friends are great. Friends are fun. You're getting some downtime with them, or going on a picnic, whatever you like to do. And then Mercury in Taurus sextiles over to Mars in Cancer. So this is, again, healthy competition. So, okay, one of the last script that I wrote, there was these studio heads. I was writing about not golden age Hollywood, this was later. But basically, studio heads would play tennis on opening weekend and take bets and be competitive with each other over whose film was going to win and take the box office that weekend. This is what I mean by, like, let yourself be Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know how that turned into this big thing for an example of this video, but let yourself be bright and be the sun. Let yourself be strong and funny and masculine and confident and healthy, because other people are like that too. And if you trust yourself and trust your life, and if you're very, very sincere, things will flush away so that you can actually make room for more of those people in your life. Because just like these studio heads, they're all big, powerful people, and they're playing tennis with other big, people that are also able to be in their presence without freaking out, without being crazy, without being codependent or insecure or projecting, or without drama. Okay, so just think of that in your mind. Arnold with his friends, and they're all bodybuilders, they're all big people. Or think of, I've been watching comedians driving, getting coffee, the Jerry Seinfeld thing. I saw the one with Jim Carrey, I saw the one with Jimmy Fallon. And it's like, can you imagine, like, I'm sure for some people that'd be like so intimidating. That wouldn't be intimidating to me, because I would just relax and just laugh and just be really in awe and grateful, and just funny people. So, but like, you need to be able to hold it together to handle yourself. Okay, if you wanted to channel that, if you want to be brave and sincere and pioneer, or the first in something. If you're really I'm trying to support the people that are going to use all this knowledge and use all this energy to make the absolute most of their lives. That's what I'm here to support. I'm here to support the individual. So I'm very excited to see who comes up over these next few years with these eclipses, because I love that. I love to support people, and I love to support the brightness and the unique individuation, the unique individual. Everyone's an individual. Okay, but when people start acting insecure or psycho or crazy or whatever, then they're not being an individual. There's some kind of crazy subconscious programming. There's shadow work that they haven't done. They're projecting it onto you or in the situation, and then they lose their spark to me. They lose their individuality to me, and I stop seeing them as a bright, sparkly individual, and I start to see, it's like, for me, they turn into an Agent Smith, or they turn into a bot, like a robot. They turn into that, and then they're like lost to me because they're lost to themselves. That's the thing. When you don't do your shadow work, when you don't work through your trauma, you don't work through your issues, that has you. So when I say you can't have who I am, that's what it means. It means I'm not going to let trauma sabotage great relationships, great opportunities for me. You can't have who I am. I'm going to get back who I could have been without all the trauma, or I'm going to make the best of it. If it's too far gone, if I've been through too much trauma, then I'm going to make the best with whatever's left over, and I'm not going to self-sabotage. I'm not going to hurt other people. I'm just going to try and enjoy my life and try to just be me and recreate, rebuild myself from the bottom up. Okay. And then find other people that are doing the same thing. Because there's absolutely no way I'm going to sacrifice a moment of my peace to fit in with other traumatized individuals or whatever. Okay, so think about that. Fun and games on Sunday the 23rd, healthy competition, studio heads playing tennis, betting on who's going to take opening weekend, who's going to take the box office this weekend. You know, that's what you want to sort of, you know, cultivate in your energy. So it's letting your own light shine, but then also really appreciating other people's lights shining. I was so bummed. I think it was like last year Super Bowl. I thought it was an actual, or maybe it was 2 years ago, when Arnold Schwarzenegger and Salma Hayek did that BMW commercial, those series of Beamer commercials, which I love because I'm a passionate like Beamer person. I've had Beamers in my life and I love it, but he was Zeus. He was Zeus, and I thought it was a movie, and I was so crushed when it was just a joke, when it was just an ad for a car. I was so upset. I was really looking forward to like seeing him as Zeus. I thought it was brilliant. Brilliant. I thought it was so brilliant. I'll stop. Okay. Is this video too long? I feel like this video is going to be too long. So in the interest of saving time, we're going to do an extremely simple cover and cross and just see what wants to come out. Okay, let's just see really quick. We'll take a little dip into this week ahead for you guys. What is the... Oh, the Six of Pentacles. Very nice. Very nice. I like this because this is like the Emperor dressing up as a nobleman just to see how the regular people respond to him, because as you can see, he's got a scale in one hand that's balanced, and then he's got the pentacles in the other hand, and he's only giving the pentacles to the other guy. He's not giving them to both of these gentlemen, okay? He's just giving to the one. It's like he's weighing out the sincerity or the quality of the spirit, whatever you want to call it, and judiciously wielding power, judiciously bestowing kindness or generosity onto the deserving person, the person who is sincere when no one's looking, the person who is honest even when no one's putting pressure on them to be honest, or you know, whatever happens to be. So this is also representative of a larger give and take with you and universe. So not being super stuck on, oh, I gave into this person or situation, so I expect something back, transactional. Being more universal in your modality, to trust that universe has your back, that all of your karma points count, okay? It's a big week for karma, and I just don't want anyone to fall for any of the traps that are like very clearly laid out. These can be traps for those that don't care about growth, that don't, you know, that they just want to get their way, or they're scared, whatever. We're not making a judgment. But those same things that could be traps for them are golden opportunities for the rest of us, because they're opportunities to alchemize karma into a strength. So if you're met with some kind of insecurity, if you're met with some kind of lack of release of control, anything like that, it's an opportunity to own it, to alchemize it into a strength, into something that works really great for you, or to capitalize on an opportunity that comes your way. Okay, so what's crossing this energy? Seven of Wands. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So Seven of Wands is very, this guy, he's actually on the top of this little rock, and he's holding his own against all these little sticks that are trying to get at him. So this is like a competitive advantage. There's some, you've been attacked, you've been, you know, grenades have been launched against you or whatever, but you've been able to hold your own. You've been able to, but like I said, there might be some kind of competitive advantage. There might be something that you don't see in other people that you have, or that someone else doesn't see in other people that you have, something like that. So this could be a wonderful, see, this is a perfect example. So if you have a job interview and it's like the day after the eclipse, or it's on an eclipse, or it's a couple days after the whenever, if it just happens to be that way, you still go on the interview. You still go because you didn't pick that date. Someone else picked that date. So that's why, like, if things are just like happening a certain way, you just go with that flow. But you're through the looking glass. So take all the pressure and expectation off of yourself to like manifest and to like overdo it or whatever. You might feel a sense of urgency, and maybe there will be with, like, I don't know, deadlines or something, but you just trust in your sincerity and hold into that equality of where you feel, where it's very organic, where it feels very sincere, where you feel like there's an equal give and take, because you also might have to defend it. You might also have to advocate for that, for yourself, for some connection, justifying something. I don't know. Bottom of the deck, Two of Swords, the Ten of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. Very nice. Sehr gut. That's a breakthrough. That is definitely some kind of breakthrough. So no more being on the fence or being stuck. That Two of Swords is usually like waiting, stalemate energy. You know, so if you have been waiting on something, that's probably the best. The best would probably be if something's already been, you've already been initiating, you've already been manifesting, you've already been trying. This could just be from now until the middle of May, big breakthroughs with that. Then fate says it's the now is the time. You know, so that's what I like the best. If there are things planned already, go for it. But you know, just know that just know that, because overall this does look like breakthrough energy, and it looks like a wonderful opportunity. It looks like wonderful relationships, wonderful new bright beginnings. Again, with the equality, the Ten of Cups is human love perfected, but that only happens when the individuals are fully self-actualized. Okay, I mean, I don't want to put the pressure on you to be like fully self-actualized right away if that intimidates you, but you know, self-developed enough where you're pretty independent, where you can hold your own, where you're not gonna like, that's the thing. When someone turns into an Agent Smith with you, when someone turns into a bot, when you know, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, if someone flips like that, that damages the bond of trust. And you have to have the discernment to know if you can allow that length of the I hate to say the leash, but if you can, if like, every relationship needs room to grow. You need room to make mistakes. You need room to, you know, be able to say you're sorry, and you know, all these things. You have to have the discernment to know when something is that, or when it crosses a boundary and it's toxic, and you need to make some changes. That's on you, though. That's on you to discern and to own that connection, that relationship. Then you're no longer just someone's victim. You have to, oh yeah, you know, you have to take responsibility to get out of it. So you know, this looks like a wonderful breakthrough with people that are that strong and independent, where they can respect the other person's individuation. They can respect the other person's need as a separate individual, and see them. Because when they turn into a bot, or they turn into an Agent Smith, and that cuts off the individuation, that cuts off their individuality, and I don't see them as the same, you know. And it's a shame and it's sad, but you know, you can't like tie your fate to them and then go down with the ship. If you're trying to have a protege and you want them to be, you know, big and bright and beautiful and wonderful, but they're hell-bent on, you know, drugs and drugs, champagne, and naughty women or something, you know, you can't go into their life and fix it for them. They're not owning the victory that way. Okay, so this is not that. This is very healthy. But this does say that someone's got to like protect it. That's all. So whether this is an existing connection, an existing partnership, or whether this is something that gets, you know, brought into your lap this week. Maybe at work they partner you up with someone, and it's like you get to troubleshoot a problem, and it's like the perfect chemistry. It's like the perfect connection where you guys really do solve like some really fantastic problems. The training that I gave to my Hierophant, and he's helping his other friend, and like I said, they're in the space industry. It's a very small community, and so, you know, that's going a long ways to helping that. And I told him too, I said, you're like, you're in a place no one is. Like, that's a very, like, no one gets that kind of insight. No one sees all that. People write about it, talk about it, blog about it, post about it. It's suspicions, it's unverified. You're in the middle of it. Like, you're such a high vibrational person. You have me as your consigliere. Like, this is a pretty good spot. Like, this is where we save the world. This is where the save the world 𝚑𝚤𝚗 philosophy, truth, love, and integrity get used. It's that you want to be in the thick of it. Okay, we are spiritual warriors, and we're finding each other. We're decentralized. Like, this is it. You know, he was tired. He was you know, overwhelmed, and I'm like, nah, bruh. It's on every one person, whoever you are. That's the role I played in that situation. He was the one in it. I was just spiritual support. I was consigliere. I was helping with strategy and the energy work, but he was the one on the front lines dealing with these evil politics. Okay, so you're on the front lines too, in whatever corner of the world this message is going through the interwebs and reaching you in, and it's your responsibility to do what you can in your part of the world. King karma, king. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with that. Love you guys. Take very good care. Remember, no message this Thursday, keeping a low profile on this eclipse energy. I will see you guys next week. If you want to see me every day, hop on the Patreon. Until next time, my loves, many beautiful blessings upon all of your beautiful heads, darlings.